Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Welcome to episode 124, Hobby Quick Hits. This show is going to basically be my review and experiences from the 42nd Annual National, which took place in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'm going to talk about, observations and thoughts, things I did. You may notice by my voice, it sounds like I have a cold. Well, I have some cold symptoms and flu symptoms because one of the things I brought back from the National was COVID-19, battling COVID-19. I'm doing all right considering the fact, but again, content must go on. I'm able to do it, so the show will happen. So before we get into sort of my review and take on the National, let's hear from our great sponsors, Mojo Brake, and then we'll start the show.
MojoBrakeShop.com is the best place to get your sealed wax products and brakes. They not only have the best selection, but the best prices. Whether it's a box or a whole case, they are your guys. They ship worldwide to your doorstep. Their reputation as one of the most trusted in the hobby goes unmatched. They are the 2021 Topps Rip Party Champion Breakers. From sports card to Pokemon cards, their selection can't be beat. They offer daily deals and pre-orders.
Hey guys, John Newman here. Mojo's prices are already great, but to save an additional 10% off anything in their store, use the code QUICKHITS. That's QUICKHITS. Check out the full-service store that's open 7 days a week in Santa Clara, California, or the website at mojobrake.com. All right, time to cover this week's new product release schedule. A short release schedule this week after the National, but a couple items to talk about. These following items are on August 10th. 2021-22 Topps Finest UEFA Champions League Soccer. Also 2021-22 Upper Deck Black Diamond Hockey. 2022 Topps Series 2 Baseball Vending. On the 12th, 2022 Panini Select WWE. And on the 16th, a couple items. 2022 Leaf Autographed Jersey Multisport. And 2022 Best of Benchwarmer. So that's about 5 items for the week. So kind of a quiet week. And again, with everything going on, there could be delays or pushbacks. But that is the schedule for this week.
Let's go round the hobbyverse and catch up on this week's hobby news.
All right, we have a new card sale heavyweight champion.
Holy shnikes.
In a private sale through Golden, a T206 Wagner SGC graded 2 went for $7.25 million. So SGC having a great run with talked about graded cards bringing big money. But Heritage Auction says,
I'm your huckleberry.
as the Mantle 9.5 SGC that everyone knows about was the talk of the National, is getting ready in a couple weeks for that auction to close, and it is expected to be the first card to break the $10 million mark. So the Golden Wagner will hold the title for now, but probably just keeping it warm for the SGC 9.5 Mantle that will end at Heritage in a few weeks. In the I Told You So When the Deal Went Down department, Topps/Fanatics or Fanatics/Topps has announced they really are looking to go direct to consumer. And the first shoe has fallen. GTS has confirmed that they have been dropped from the distribution roles, and many will probably follow. So Topps is saying to distributors, staying with the Topps news, they have announced they're currently in 300 lid stores, their products. That will be expanding to 500 lids stores. And truthfully, eventually, I think every lid stores is going to have a Topps display of sports cards with their offerings. That's where we are going there. Joe Orlando has a new location, formerly of Collector/PSA, now formerly of Collectible. He took a job with Collectible in March, but has now accepted a new position at Heritage Auctions as the executive vice president of the sports division of their auctions. So probably more in line with his area of expertise. So I guess congrats are in order there. What's becoming sort of a normal report out of the National every year, we have another robbery of cards, this time in the amount of $87,800 from Gizmo Sports Cards, owned by Rick Giddings. And the gist of the story is he knows who stole the cards from him, because the gentleman is someone he's familiar with and have transacted with before. And the gentleman left two 400 count boxes, said there was $100,000 cash in them, and wanted to look at some cards, picked out 29 cards valued at that $87,800. Said that they would purchase them, but wanted to show them to his son 3 tables down, and started to walk in that direction. Left the 2 boxes of money, supposedly containing $100,000, on Rick's table. Never came back. And when Mr. Giddings looked through the boxes that were left, I believe there's only $500 or $1,000 contained in the boxes, and attempts to contact the person who had the cards went unanswered, and then the police were notified. And so the person has declined to turn themselves in, and is trying to get away with basically stealing $87,800 worth of vintage graded cards, and pay $1,000 for it. That's what I believe he left on the table. So unfortunate. Hopefully this story will have a happy ending. For a national story with a happy ending, shameless plug, check out Friday Sports Card Nation, where I have a gentleman who found over $10,000 worth of cards in a taxi cab and got them back to its rightful owner. So that'll be on Friday Sports Carnation. All right, the last story we're going to tackle is one that kind of broke earlier in the week at the National. Starting in 2024, there will be new leadership for the National. Joe Drelick, Brian Coppola, and Jim Ryan, a.k.a. JBJ Corp., will take the reins from John Brogy in 2024. They are not new to running card shows. Coppola and Ryan formed JP Sports and Rock Solid Promotions, which are famous for running the White Plains card show. And their other partner, Joe Drelick, is head of East Coast Sports Marketing, which runs the Philly Sports and Collectible Show and the CSA show in Chantilly, Virginia. So these gentlemen have quite a bit of experience under their belt, and they're prepared to take the National, in their words, to the next level in 2024. What that entails, time will tell. And so we're going to have some new leadership starting in 2024 with the National.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, let's get into my coverage of the 42nd Annual National, which took place in Atlantic City, New Jersey. As I've said previously, my wife made the trip with me, spent almost every day at the beach, got a nice suntan and burn. All but one day she went. It was a rainy day. Really had a great time for her, and really only saw her at night, and many times by the time I got home, she was already sleeping. Just a couple of nights where I got to, conversate with her in person, other than text during the day. So we got there Tuesday, and to me and some of the guys that stayed at the house, Val Mars, Brad Bethune, Logan Ward, Logan's son Tyler, we went to the show on Tuesday, got our media credentials, and walked the show floor, which was cool, but many people were still in the process of setting up. But it was cool to talk to a few folks, but a lot of people weren't there, quite frankly, yet. A lot of people that work for the companies, it was just their crews getting their booths and kiosks kind of set up, so the main folks weren't there. So for me, Tuesday, just for future reference, getting there on a Tuesday is not going to be really a high priority for me. Yes, there's stuff going on, but they're really not fully operational yet. Now, Wednesday is what's known as preview day, not a full day of show, but this is where people do start to come in, including content creators and people who are just attending the show. Things tend to ramp up, and Tuesday was pretty quiet as far as traffic goes. Wednesday, things really started to pick up and get busier, but again, it's sort of a half day of show. Thursday was the day where things really got ramped up. First full day of the show, and for all the people that knocked and bagged on Atlantic City and said it was terrible and it's a terrible venue, I don't necessarily disagree, but people still came to the show. It was heavily attended. Thursday was busy. I did a main stage for Sports Card Nation. Look for that audio soon to be released. But did that with Cousins Collectibles, Tony and Oz from that podcast, and Sports Ball, Danny Black. And we did, if I'm biased, but we did a great 30 minutes, had a lot of fun, a lot of people sitting down in the audience, and went really well. Wednesday didn't really buy much. Thursday bought some stuff from the Singles Club. But, at the end of Thursday, really hadn't purchased much, quite frankly. Comps, to be honest with you, were over. Dealers were pricing over comps. I saw a high percentage of dealers not even price their cards. Cards in a showcase without prices. My take on that. I'm most likely, unless it's a card I really, really, really want, I'm not going to ask. I tend to find, as I'm a dealer myself. I know sort of how the game is played. I tend to believe when the cards aren't priced, the dealer is usually high in prices. And again, not to paint with a broad brush, but generally that's how that story goes. Thing I do want to mention, especially on Wednesday and Thursday, internet was brutal on the convention floor. I know dealers told me that they lost sales. One dealer told me he was thankful his partner was there because he had to literally leave the venue to complete a credit card transaction. At one point, the concession stand was operating basically on a cash-only basis because they couldn't get their credit card transactions through. I had sent a picture text to my son, and, I pulled out my phone a few hours later, and it still said sending, and it didn't go through until I had left the venue, and I'm not going to defend that. I mean, they know these shows are heavily attended. They know bandwidth is going to be at a premium, and it seemed like they weren't prepared. This is a venue that hosts other big shows, anime, manga, all these other type of big conventions for each, of that niche. And so I don't know what the deal was there. I will say this. Friday, jumping ahead to Friday or Saturday, it was better. Was it where it needed to be still? No, but it was a little better. Messages were getting through a little bit quicker, and there were less dealer complaints. I don't know this for sure, but I was told too that dealers were given an option to pay $80 for, better internet quality. And if that's true, based on being true, I mean, that's terrible. You pay enough for your booth, right? 4 figures. It should come with internet, right? You make, everyone makes credit card transactions, PayPal transactions, Venmo, Zelle, whatever, right? You think internet should be part of the deal. Internet and electricity, right? You shouldn't have to pay extra, especially for what the setups cost in the first place. So that was disappointing. Hopefully they get that figured out. Even in Chicago last year, it was an issue, not as bad as it was in Atlantic City. So hopefully going forward, that is something that they fix or work out, right? I don't. There's really no excuse for it, quite frankly. So Thursday, did the main stage, walked around, did a couple on-floor interviews for Sports Card Nation, but really didn't buy nothing up until this point. Just between comps and being busy doing other stuff and not seeing the whole show floor yet. So Friday, my plan was to do a couple more interviews. Also had the main stage with Hobby Hotline, and hopefully, get to check out more of the show floor. Friday, Hobby Hotline, we let off the day. We were the first show, 10 a.m., and, when we first started, there wasn't many people in the crowd, but as we got going, people seemed to sit down and really listen. That was one takeaway I made. There was 12 of us. Of the 20 of us, there was 12 of us on stage. John Keating grabbed the mic and went into the audience to do some audience questions, which really, really played well. So it was an excellent hour of Hobby Hotline with great questions and great interactions, some funny moments. Look for that to air on Hobby Hotline's channel. So that went really, really well. Was very pleased with that. Again, did a couple more floor interviews, and then tried to, walk around, see more of the show that I hadn't seen, and hopefully, buy a few things. I bought a few, $5, $10, $20 cards. Nothing major. Not even a ton of those. And Friday came and went. A couple events that I want to cover too. Thursday was the Topps Q&A, which was right after the show in a room upstairs on the 3rd floor of the convention center. They feed you, but they sort of hurry you so they can start their presentation. They give you some packs of cards as you come through. And last year they gave you one pack, and it was 5 base cards, in cellophane from the 2021 flagship. No And one thing I didn't like about last year, they were just regular cards. They weren't didn't have a national logo, nothing to differentiate that they were special. They were regular, 4 or 5 base card cellophane packs. Well, I kind of mentioned, I know I spoke about it, that, it was, not a great effort. I don't know if they heard me or they just did it on their own, but this year better. They did a 5-card promo pack with the national logo, and they gave out 5 of those to each person coming through the door. And the 5 cards are Mike Piazza, Yogi Berra, Bryce Harper, Derek Jeter, and Aaron Judge. And they've got the national logo, and they're numbered different, on the back, and they're that 87 Topps design. So kudos for Topps for getting it right. And I was surprised they even gave each of us 5 packs. Actually, I got 4. I think the person just counted wrong, but everyone else I saw got 5. Not going to complain about that. So, promo pack, it is what it is. One takeaway, they did their Q&A. They gave away some prizes. A few kids were in attendance this year. They won some prizes. Kudos about that. One takeaway I will say from the Topps Q&A, I heard Topps family and I heard Fanatics family a lot. It seemed they made a concerted effort to sort of separate the two entities, if you will, kind of labeling Fanatics with Zero Cool. And speaking of Zero Cool, they had quite the setup near Topps at the National, kind of a 4-wall enclave, video wall. All the walls were video. So they were playing videos of their products that were soon to come out or scheduled to come out. In between events that they had inside those walls, they would play, sort of pop techno, disco type music. They had some dry ice smoke, and definitely the most unique setup at the show was Zero Cools. But again, it seemed like Topps was making sort of an effort to, differentiate the two companies, if you will. I know at one point, one of the speakers had everybody from the Topps family sort of raise their hand that was in the room, and there was, 20 hands up and wanted to acknowledge them. And was very well done. They didn't really duck any questions. There was some negative questions asked. Another thing that came out of that, Q&A was, and this is where they did integrate Fanatics. They said that they wanted, get rid of redemptions as much as they can, and they like to have very little redemptions, and they think the acquisition by Fanatics will go a long way into almost eliminating redemptions or cutting down on them tremendously. A funny moment was when one of the moderators, I apologize, I don't remember his name, mentioned that they're glad they don't have to deal with Conor McGregor anymore, as he was one of the most difficult persons to deal with. And then I kind of added in, I hope he's not nearby. I could be in trouble for saying that. It was kind of a lighthearted, honest, transparent confession. And, I think people appreciated that. People asked some great questions. They didn't really duck anything, and it was a pretty good Q&A. As you left, you got, last year they gave you a Lewis Robert signed card, number to 150. They did 150 signed cards, but what I liked what they did this year is they did 3 different guys numbered to 50. Hunter Green, Bobby Witt Jr., and Julio Rodriguez. Obviously, Bobby Witt and Julio Rodriguez were the 2 better of the 3. I got Hunter Green, who I like. Obviously, would have rather got Bobby Witt, and Julio Rodriguez, but it is what it is. It's random. I know a couple of the people that I was with got Julio Rodriguez and Bobby Witt. Just the luck of the draw. But I like the fact that they gave you 3 different cards, and that way not everyone has the same. And also, let's be real, right? With only 50 cards signed of each guy, that's a lower print number, right? And so for resale, if that's your thing, it's going to be, probably worth more, if you will. The other thing I wanted to mention, Wednesday night, first official day of the show, I was invited to the collectible party called Cocktails and Cards. It was at the Dare nightclub in the Hard Rock Cafe, actually on the rooftop, and well done. It wasn't a presentation. It was really just a party. Take pictures, mingle, open bar, cigars, smoke. I'm a cigar guy, so I got to smoke a cigar or two, talk to people, talk to a lot of people. There was a lot of people from the hobby there, a lot of content creators, had a lot of great conversations. Had no idea that there'd be some sports celebrities there. They didn't advertise that. So I'm standing there, I'm talking to a couple people, and I look to my right, and I see a guy who looks like Chris Mullin. And I say to myself, hey, that guy looks like Chris Mullin. Continue talking, and look back again, and I realize it is Chris Mullin, and my jaw drops. Chris Mullin's my favorite basketball player. I'm a Brooklyn kid. We're both from the section of Brooklyn called Canarsie, and I'm a huge Chris Mullin fan. So thanks to my friend Danny, who kind of, led me, kind of introduced me and said, hey, my friend is a huge fan of yours. I got to meet Chris, shake his hand, and we didn't talk anything about basketball. We talked about 6-7 minutes, had my Jackie Robinson shirt on. He said, I love your shirt. And we talked about, places in Canarsie we lived, places I worked in Canarsie. Probably refreshing to him. Probably always talking about basketball. It was probably neat for him to talk about his hometown and my hometown, which were one and the same. Later on that same night, I met Lawrence Taylor. Wound up talking to him for like 15 minutes. He was very, very friendly. We joked a bit. I told him I got a confession to make, LT. He said, what's that? I said, I'm a New York City kid, but I'm a huge Pittsburgh Steeler fan. He made sort of a weird face and said, how does that happen? I explained to him the whole Mean Joe Green thing and the Coke commercial, and he said, all right, I understand. I get it. I'll give you a pass. And then he, proceeded to mention that this first time playing the Steelers that he sacked Terry Bradshaw 4 times. And I came right back rather quickly, and I said, oh, that matches Terry Bradshaw's ring total. He chuckled and made a comment alluding to how fast I came back with that one-liner, like I was waiting for that. And gave me some knuckles, and we talked a little bit about his career, and it was a good 15-minute conversation. There was a couple times I felt like, I probably should go. I don't want to take up, and he kind of reeled me back in, and I thought that was pretty cool. So that was a great event. Again, open bars, finger foods, they'd walk around with that, and Collectible knows how to put on a party. Kudos to them. Mitch Richmond was there. I heard Tim Hardaway was there, and a few other people as well as far as athletes go. But a lot of content creators, a lot of people from the industry. It was very well attended, and I see why. They put on a great show there for sure. So glad I went and had a great time, and kudos to Ezra and his team for that. Going back to Friday, I noticed it was heavily attendance. You could tell people were getting into town. It was ramping up. It was busy. Friday might be the busiest day when I was there. I did not go Sunday, so I can't speak of Sunday. But I know Friday, it was really hard to get showcase time. It was hard to get in front of a showcase to see, what people had and what they were selling. It was, like boxing out. You really either had to wait or you had to kind of just skip areas and go to the next section and hope you could get, in the space. And it was elbow to elbow, if not more packed than that. So to me, Friday was the busier day, if you will. It was also at the end of that day was the PSA registry get together. Thanks to Val Mars, I was his date for the night, and I got to attend that. And that was very well done. And sort of, like the opposite of Tops, where you they feed you, but they rush you. PSA lets you in, and they have foods and drink, and they let you, for the first 45 minutes, they didn't even take the podium or anything. They let you eat. They let you mingle with your friends. They let you bounce from one table to the next to talk to your friends at different tables. Didn't rush you. Very well done. Then they started the presentation, which was a slideshow. And really, the slideshow was focused on award winners for the registry, Hall of Fame level, gold level, that sort of thing. They handed out some of those pins. And Logan Ward from Hobby Hotline and my friend got to do a little speech, did very well on what PSA means to him. And they allowed him to display some of his collection in the showcase they had. It was very well done. And the whole slideshow presentation was really only 20, 30 minutes. Really didn't overdo it. And then they gave us again 45 minutes at the end to really just talk amongst friends and get more food and drink if you so choose. Chris Carlin, who's now at PSA Collectors in the customer service, I was going around sitting at each table and asking everyone, hey, how do we make PSA better? What do you want to see? What can we do to improve everything? And I gave him a couple ideas. I know he kind of liked one, but that is going to be PSA's gain, having Chris. I know Upper Deck's going to miss him. PSA, if they don't already, is going to love him because he's a go-getter. He's going to make things happen, and no one probably cares more about the customer service experience than Chris Carlin. So that is a great hire on their part, and it's going to pay probably dividends for them. And, I know when I was talking to Chris about some things I'd like to see, I know he was writing them down and listening and intent, and we'll see what happens there. So that was a very well done event. Not too long as far as presentation goes. Really hit the key points. They mentioned one of the takeaways from that show. They mentioned that they're redoing some of their IT and computer stuff, and it's going to take place over the next year, and things will be a lot easier to navigate and simpler to upload stuff and upload your collection and that sort of thing. So look for that from now to the next year. It's actually already started, they mentioned. So got to attend some great events. Now going into Saturday, really hadn't bought much. Sort of disappointed on that. And so, we're pulling into the garage on Saturday, and there was just a ton of cars. You could see a big difference traffic-wise. And so I thought Saturday is going to be the busiest day of the bunch based on traffic. But what I think happened was everyone kind of came early rather than spread out. And frankly, Saturday, inside the building, it was steady. I don't want to make it like it was dead. It was definitely not dead. It was well attended, but where, like I was talking about Friday, it was hard to get, in front of showcases. Saturday, I had no trouble really looking around. And Saturday really was the day. My interviews were done. My 2 main stage things were done. And the only event we had left was our hobby hotline dinner, which was after the show was over. So Saturday really was all about, hopefully picking up a couple cards. And again, dealers were, not great on pricings. Not everybody, but for sort of the cards I was looking for. I was looking for a Koufax rookie. Gibson rookie was on my short list. Seaver rookie was on my short list. Found a nice Seaver 7 for $2,100. Did not buy it. Price was great. I just didn't pull the trigger on it. Same gentleman had a Koufax PSA 2. He had a showcase where it said 40% off every prices in this case, and he had a Koufax 2, which actually presented very well, but the price he had on it was really sort of higher than it should have been. So that 40% off, while nice, really didn't didn't make sense for me to, pull the trigger and purchase it. So I was getting to the point I wasn't sure I was going to get, a significant card, if you will. Then went to, I saw, earlier in the show when I got there, I saw a dealer that was strictly vintage, and he had a really, really nice collection of vintage cards. I went back there. He did not have prices on his cards. But I asked him about, he had 3 or 4 Koufaxes. And I asked him, the prices of them. He had a 4.5 SGC that really presented well. Very, very sharp. Everyone that sees it, or I've shown it to, has said, man, I'd probably resubmit that. That almost looks like a 6. It's really nice. Wanted to get the price a little lower. He also had a Warren Spahn 1948 Bowman rookie, SGC 3. Little off center on the front, but other than that, really great shape, but maybe undergraded as well. And so, I just wanted to sort of put a package deal. So there was a cheaper card that was the 1935 Gowdy 4-in-1s with Jim Bottomley. He wanted $35 for that. So I asked him what he could do for the 3 cards. He said, well, if we do a deal, basically you can have the Bottomley, for $35. I'm not too worried about it. And here's what I can do on the 2 cards, the Koufax and the Spahn. And, we haggled a little bit, but it was close enough for me to pull the trigger. So I got the Koufax rookie and, the Spahn rookie, which really wasn't on my list. I got that as well. And if you don't know about Warren Spahn's record, very underrated player. Won 20 games 13 times. Think about that. 20-game winner in 13 different seasons. 363 wins. And that's with losing a couple years serving our country. And so one of the most underrated players in the game. A lot of strikeouts and just a great pitcher. Was glad to add that card to my PC along with the Koufax. So that was my big purchases for this show. I go in every national trying to get 1 or 2 cards like those, and kind of, just under the final bell was able to get them. So we'll wrap up with some observations. Whatnot had the biggest floor plan set up, and they had a carnival type atmosphere with a horse racing game like you'd find sort of on the boardwalk, and like an area where you could, like if you sold popcorn, they had that sort of vibe. They wanted a Atlantic City vibe. They had about 4 different kiosks that took up like a lane in the Breakers Pavilion. There was more Breakers this year. But one thing about Atlantic City, everything was in one room. So it was spaced out, I thought, better than even Chicago. So for all, you can not like Atlantic City, but it was in really one big rectangle. It was easy sort of to navigate. Zero Cool probably had the coolest setup. Topps red carpet was back. Panini had their normal setup. Shout out to the Roadshow guys. Tracy, Jimmy, and them. They had a really cool setup with sort of a metal, you look like a Ninja Warrior type setup. I almost wanted to climb it. Probably would have hurt myself, but just had that sort of vibe, kind of an octagon where they could be inside it, but come out and talk and mingle with people. A lot of people giving free shirts away. I got to do that from the main stage, and the people I know. I got to meet a lot of people again. I got to meet a lot of people for the first time, including content creators. Shout out to Shane Norton from Sports Card Nobody, who attended, the on stage of Sports Card Nation. And, when we were doing the Hobby Hotline, a lot of the people from the industry came over. I know I saw Eric Norton, Jeff Huffer, and others. And that was pretty cool to see people supporting people, right? That's what it's about. Loop, I thought, setup was, a little pop-up tent for, as well as they're doing. I thought they would have more of a presence. But, a lot of it's availability, too. Maybe that was all they could get. I don't know the backstory there. If you ask me who wasn't there that maybe you expected to see in some capacity, I didn't see Star Stock. I'm pretty sure they did not attend as they deal with some issues there, as they look to be in trouble. A company I've been very, very harsh and critical on. I was quite frankly shocked to see they had a booth, and that's HGA under new ownership. They didn't seem very busy, so I think they got some work to do to stay afloat. Wild card footprint expanded. They had a bigger space this year. They had a prize wheel, and they seem to be pretty busy in their own right. So kudos to them. eBay had, I think, their usual setup, but had DJ Ski and some of the other artists involved in some of the things they were doing. And so I thought it was, you had some issues with internet and, Friday being hard to really get in front of a showcase. But I thought the show was well done. I thought some of the after events were well done. And, rumor is that it will never be. This will be the last time it's in Atlantic City. There are new folks kind of taking over running the National beginning in 2024. And rumor is they have no interest in returning to Atlantic City. So this may be the last Atlantic City National. Time will tell. We'll see how that plays out. One of the last things I did before returning home was Saturday night. We had what's kind of becoming a tradition now, our Hobby Hotline dinner. Attended by folks from Hobby Hotline, myself, Dr. Jim, Logan, Val, Brad, my friend Danny Black. I invited him. He attended. Brody the Kid, Brody's parents, and Rex Gocher from the Sports Card Shop at Moco. He attended. It was a great dinner at Angelo's, and had a great time, great conversation, kind of a good way to sort of put a cap on my trip as we left for home Sunday morning. So, again, they're no bad Nationals. This was no exception, and we had a we had fun, and hopefully you did too, and hopefully everyone remained healthy. Besides that Spawn and Koufax, I got COVID. I got Koufax and I got COVID. So, one I really like and the other I wish I didn't get. But that's life. We're pushing through. We're keeping the wheels on the road, and hopefully we come out okay on the other side. So, this is a longer episode of Hobby Quick Hits, but I really wanted to cover as much my perspective, of the event. So if you have any additional questions, by all means, reach out, and we're going to call it a show right here. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Stay safe. Be well. We'll see you. We're going to take a quick break. I'll come back with some closing thoughts.
Check out our website at www.sportscardnationpodcast.com for the new release schedule, our blog, all show episodes, and so much more.
All right, that's a wrap for this week's episode of Hobby Quick Hits. If you went to the show, I hope you had a good time. I hope you didn't get COVID as I did. And again, I said this on Sports Card Nation, if you're not feeling well, extra tired, some flu-like symptoms, take a COVID test just to be safe, just so you know, and, contain the spread as much as possible. We're on the countdown, right, towards the Chicago National, which is most people's favorites, the truth be told. So I'm sure a lot of people will be looking forward to that event as we head towards that one. When one ends, the next one's countdown begins. All right. Take care, everybody.